Shri Radha Raghunath Ki, Shri Giri Govardhan Ki, Shri Gaura Hari Ki, Shri Prabhupada Ki. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Giridvaradari. Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Giridvaradari. Jashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Giridvaradari. Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Giridvaradari. Jashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Sate His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, so Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for all braving the rain to come to the class. It's crazy how the weather's just like switching up. We have like a humid weather yesterday, super hot, and then just this cold weather. I'm freezing now. So today we'll be reading from What is the Difficulty? Intimate Moments in the Personal Service of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. By His Grace, Shrutikirti Prabhu. He's really amazing, an amazing devotee. If you've heard any of his classes, you probably got addicted. You'll just sit and watch his classes for hours. He just speaks about Prabhupada with such passion, such emotion, such love for Srila Prabhupada. And that's what we all want. If we have love for Srila Prabhupada, then back to Godhead, very quickly. Back to Godhead. We'll be reading from Pastime 30. That's right. Pastime 30. That is on page 42. But first, let's do some prayers. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Shadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Puran Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Haripriya Namo Om Vishnuparaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskatya Rishitarine Pancha Kalpatrupyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai. Okay, let's begin our reading. In the Sky, October 21st, 1972, Radha Damodar Temple, Vrindavan, India. Brahmachari. Srila Prabhupada, it says in one of the Krishna book stories that Krishna and Balaram jumped off a mountain 80 miles high. Where is this mountain located? Srila Prabhupada, in the sky. You answered, and this is Shrutikirti now. You answered in an instant. It was a sweet answer that brought smiles to our faces. You always had the right answer. Your disciples were eager to ask questions, just to have the chance to share an intimate moment, and you were happy to satisfy their desires. So this is a wonderful quality of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, that they were always keen to, have some exchange with their spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So this is what we're hankering for. If we want to make advancement in spiritual life, it's said that a moment's association with a pure devotee, this can forever change us. This can be the pivotal point. This is what brings us to Krishna, the association of the advanced devotees. Taking the step to find a spiritual master and spend time with that person, as much time as you can. And then, if that is not possible, then following the instructions of the spiritual master. But unless you ask questions, it's very difficult to get instructions. So whenever you have an opportunity to ask questions to advanced devotees, then you should do it. In classes, whenever. Not my class, this isn't an advanced devotee. Okay, pastime 31. I'm always moving. October 21st, 1972. Radha Damodar Temple, Vrindavan, India. Brahmachari. Srila Prabhupada, I always want to sit by your holy lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada. That will be very difficult because I am always moving. This is Shrutakirti's reflection now. Srila Prabhupada, one of the qualities I relish most about you was your sense of humor. I was happy to know that one could be a devotee of Krishna and also be funny. Once a devotee asked if it was true Mahatma Gandhi chanted the holy name of Ram when he was shot. You looked at him with a straight face and replied, I do not know, I was not there. I did not always know how you would respond to your disciples' questions, but I always enjoyed your wit. This is Srila Prabhupada. This is spiritual life. It's not just dry, it's not just, I mean, it is chanting, but it's not just Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, really just paka sadhana all the time, just straight face, grave devotees. There's also a lot of fun to it. Spiritual life is very fun. If you live in the temple, you live in a movie, basically. Seriously, there's always something going on, good or bad. But spiritual life is very fun. Whether you're in the temple or not, if you engage with Krishna, if you engage with Srila Prabhupada, if you engage with the books, with the pastimes of Krishna, you'll find there's a lot of happiness there. It's not just dry philosophy. It's not just, somebody telling you that you have to believe this, you have to believe that. There's a lot of nectar to it. There's a lot of, there's a lot of nice things within Krishna consciousness. Let's carry on. 32. You should take sannyas. October 22, 1972. Radha Damodar Temple, Vrindavan, India. While Srila Prabhupada stayed in Vrindavan for the month of Kartik in 1972, there were many transcendental events. His return to Vrindavan was glorious. He left his home at Radha Damodar Temple in 1965, and how he was back with dozens of his initiated disciples from Europe and America. Everyone in Vrindavan could see that Srila Prabhupada was successful in preaching Krishna consciousness in the West. In the evening, he would give class from his neck of devotion in the courtyard by the samadhi of Srila Rupa Goswami. This, the same auspicious place that years before Srila Prabhupada viewed from his kitchen window, praying to Srila Rupa Goswami as he did his translating. Now devotees from all over the world were coming to this place to learn the science of Krishna consciousness, the very center of the spiritual world. There were about 100 devotees attending the classes morning and evening. They were staying at different ashrams near Radha Damodar Temple. In 1972, there was no ISKCON facility. Living in Vrindavan at this time was not so easy for the Westerners. For many, it was their first trip to India, and they were not used to the climate, food, and facilities. During the day, the devotees would try and take care of their bodily necessities. Illness like malaria, jaundice, and dysentery were common. It was quiet during the day at Radha Damodar Temple, and it was unusual to see any of Srila Prabhupada's disciples around the sacred place. One morning, however, there was one young brahmachari that was walking in the temple area, chanting his rounds. Srila Prabhupada could see him from his sitting place and rang his bell. I went to his room and he told me to bring the boy in to see him. When we entered the room together and offered obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, he asked the 18-year-old what his service was. He told Srila Prabhupada that he and Parivrajikacharya had been traveling around India by themselves, doing some preaching. Srila Prabhupada then asked him what his plans were after leaving Vrindavan. He said they planned on going to Vietnam to preach there and distribute books. Srila Prabhupada's eyes became wide and he exclaimed, Acha! In 1972, Vietnam was still in the midst of Great War and was a very dangerous place. Srila Prabhupada was impressed with their desire to preach the glories of Lord Chaitanya in this war-torn country. He looked at Paramahamsa very seriously and said, Perhaps you should take sannyas. Paramahamsa was visibly surprised by Srila Prabhupada's offer. Srila Prabhupada saw this and advised him by saying, You go and chant your japa by the samadhi of Srila Rupa Goswami. Pray to him, and then you will know what to do. Paramahamsa described to me how he went before the samadhi and began chanting. The more he chanted, the more he began to think of sannyas. The more he began to think sannyas was a great idea. He returned to Srila Prabhupada the next day and told him they decided they would take sannyas. Srila Prabhupada told him to go to his secretary, Shyam Sundar, and inform him that they would be added to the list of sannyas candidates. He said Shyam Sundar should take them to Loi Bazaar to get new cloth and bamboo to make their dandas. When Paramahamsa informed Shyam Sundar of Srila Prabhupada's decision, he laughed and told him that he hadn't heard anything about it from Srila Prabhupada and he was not about to take his word for it. Paramahamsa had to convince him to ask Srila Prabhupada so that he would help him get ready. When the other devotees found out about it, some of the brahmacharis could not believe that these two young brahmacharis, who weren't very well known or experienced, were getting to take sannyas. They tried to convince Srila Prabhupada that they weren't qualified. They said the boys had not been around long enough, did not know the philosophy very well, and hadn't even memorized Sanskrit slokas. It did not matter what anyone said. Srila Prabhupada had made up his mind. The initiation ceremony took place on the full moon night of Rasa Yatra, the night that Lord Krishna dances with the gopis. It was in the courtyard of the Radha Damodar temple, by the samadhi of Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Prabhupada was allowing everyone in Vrindavan to see how his Western disciples were surrendering everything to serve their spiritual master and Krishna. It was a transcendental ceremony, and Srila Prabhupada told us that both Srila Rupa Goswami and Narada Muni were personally present at this fire sacrifice. Srila Prabhupada, this is the first memory I have written in almost 10 years. Please continue to give me your causeless mercy so I can attempt to do some service. Telling the story at this time gives me a small glimpse of your unlimited compassion for all of us and gives me faith that it can extend even to someone as unworthy as me. So this is an amazing event that's happening. Srila Prabhupada, he notices this boy, he's just, chanting in the temple, and he calls him over, and he's asking about what he's doing. And this is an important thing because when one goes to the Dham, one goes to India, and is staying there in Vrindavan, it should never just be idly. You should always be under the direction of somebody, a spiritual master, a senior devotee. They should be guiding you in what you're doing there. Otherwise, you can very easily become bewildered or dissuaded. So Srila Prabhupada was very worried about this disciple. What is he doing here? He's just kind of loitering around. And so he calls him up and he asks, what are you doing? And the boy says something which immediately kind of is a alarm sign. He's traveling alone, with another, or not alone, he's traveling with another god brother, and they're doing some independent preaching. Very young brahmacharis, as it said here. They don't even know Sanskrit slokas, they're very new, but they're already out, traveling, preaching, which is very good spirit, but it's also very dangerous because the material world is very big and very alluring. Maya is very powerful. And sometimes we might overestimate ourselves. We come to Krishna consciousness and we think, we're saved, we're now in the protection, under the full protection of Krishna, and Maya can't touch us, So sometimes we might do things recklessly, and this is something to avoid. We should always be under the guidance of a senior devotee, of a spiritual master, in whatever we're doing, whether it be going to India to spend some time in a holy place, whether it be preaching, missions, traveling around, especially traveling. Traveling is very dangerous if you're alone. So Prabhupada is now bringing these boys closer under his tutelage. And then he does something that's just far out, that I don't think any spiritual master right now in our present ISKCON would do. He offers his new 18-year-old boy sannyas, and sannyas isn't a small thing. Actually, in India, the tradition is that if a sannyasi, say somebody takes sannyas, right? And let's first, sannyas means that one renounces everything. Sannyas, actually, the word sannyas means renunciation. So you leave the material world, you leave all your ties to family, to friends, to the material world in general. You leave everything and you basically live off just the will of God. You don't work for anything, you just beg You take whatever food comes your way. You take whatever resources come your way in order to live. You wear torn cloth, old cloth. Traditionally, this is sannyas. We have a different kind of sannyas, which is parivrajikacharya, which is sannyas for preaching. But traditionally, this is what sannyas meant, to give up everything and just live a very simple, austere life. There's 4 different stages of sannyas. We won't go deeply into that. So this is a very big thing, to leave everything. Because what it means is, in a cultured society, like in the Vedic times, one understands what this means, taking sannyas, leaving the material attachments for something higher. This is a very big thing, to be able to give up your material attachments, to be able to give up the bodily platform of life, to strive for something higher, to strive for Krishna, Krishna, which is the unseen. This Krishna consciousness movement is actually, it's a metaphysical science. It's nothing less, nothing more. What that means is that we're practicing something which gives practical results, but we can't see it. Metaphysical. It's not physical. It's on a different plane. So this metaphysical science, for somebody to just leave everything that they know, everything that they can see, everything around them, everything that's comforting, like a nice house. It's very comforting to have a nice house, a nice bed. There's food in the fridge. These are physical things. To leave all of that because you have some faith in something metaphysical, in something spiritual, that's a very big step. That's like, diving off one of these high boards, If we go to the pools and we go one step higher, one step higher. At a certain point when you're on the diving board, you think, okay, now I'm going to go a step down, go less and less down. So we're all somewhere. Sannyas is like you're going onto like the highest cliff. You're going onto Table Mountain and you're jumping into the Cape Town Ocean. That's what sannyas is like. And so in a spiritual society, people have great respect for this. And this is why we bow down to sannyasis. This is what the Vedic culture is. When we see a sannyasi, somebody who's given up the world, you immediately pay respects. And Prabhupada said, even a Mayavadi sannyasi, even somebody who is not of our sampradaya, you still pay respects to somebody who can renounce the world. So sannyas is very respected, and people take care of sannyasis in a cultural society. They give them more respect. They give them facilities. They give them nice foodstuffs. They give them everything. They trust them with their spiritual lives, So this is a very big thing for somebody to put all of their faith into somebody, for their spiritual well-being. This is a very big responsibility. So in that culture, if a sannyasi falls down after receiving all this respect, after receiving all of this responsibility, after receiving the lives of others, the spiritual lives of others, if that person falls down, they're killed. If they come back into the material world, they fall down from their position and they just engage again in material activities, they get killed. Because to get all of this respect from people, but you actually were faking it, you weren't renounced. It's it's not a good thing to do. So that was the society back then, a very, very intense. So for somebody to take sannyas, it's a very heavy thing. But we see for the purpose of preaching, Prabhupada took all risks. And he allowed these boys to take sannyas. He allowed them to enter the renounced order of life, even though they might not have been so ready. It's not the mic. Yeah, so even though these boys, they were very inexperienced, Prabhupada empowered them to take on this great role of sannyas. And this is the potency of Srila Prabhupada. And many of these young people, they did amazing things. They went around the world preaching with their newly found sannyas order of life, renounced order. And they took on this spirit of renunciation and just preached solely without any feeling of attachment to anything. They just went out and traveled. Like this boy was planning on going to Vietnam, a war-torn country. And this is what really attracted Srila Prabhupada's attention, that he was going to take a risk. So spiritual life also means taking risks. Spiritual life also means that we step out of our comfort zone, Again, it goes back to the thing of, this faith in something that we can't see, We're comfortable in everything. When you can see something, it's very comforting. It's easy. You can see something, you can do it. But if you can't see something, that's a little bit uneasy for us because we're on the bodily plane of life. So when you want to please a spiritual personality, then faith is required. We have to do something big for that spiritual personality within our own limits, within our own capacity, but we should step out of the comfort zone. We should do something more. And it can start from the very base levels of just having a little bit of faith. For instance, you're making a sacrifice, you're leaving your household, your comfortable situation, you're coming to the temple. That's also a sacrifice. You've come here because you have some faith in a process, you have some faith in a metaphysical science, and therefore you've come here and you've come to experience this, you've come to get the practical results. And so this also, it's a form of sacrifice, and it's a great thing to do. But as time goes on, as we get more advanced, as we chant more, then naturally we should progress a little bit more. We should take more risks. We should dive more into the science. We should slowly come to the platform, jumping higher and higher every time. Higher and higher every time. One step more, one step more, one step more. We should keep going. We shouldn't become stagnant. It's sometimes we feel that, if we take the next step, then it might be too much for me. It might be a bit dangerous. It might be risky. But staying stagnant is also a risk. In South Africa, that's very clear. If you stand outside in the streets long enough, you might lose some of your possessions. So, in spiritual life, if we stand too still, if you tread water, a wave can come and take you away. You got to keep swimming. Going, keep getting stronger. The more you swim, the stronger you get. And so you chant 1-2 rounds a day. Slowly you go up 3 rounds, 4 rounds, more and more, and you're sacrificing more time. This is jumping deeper and deeper. This is taking more risks, more and more risks. You're taking more and more steps. You're chanting more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and then you get the results. It's not just that you're diving and you're getting nothing, but Krishna reciprocates very easily. Krishna is very merciful. Lord Chaitanya is very merciful. And so we chant a little bit more until you get to the platform of 16 rounds. And then after some time, we have one example. His Holiness Sachinandan Maharaj. He's very into his japa, into chanting. He's from Germany, I think. Is it? Sachinandan Maharaj. He's from Germany. And so, he's been practicing for very long. He's a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and he started with very little faith in the beginning. He challenged Srila Prabhupada very strongly. He challenged him, and eventually he's come to the point now where he says 16 rounds is not enough. 2.5 hours of chanting Hare Krishna Mantra is not enough. He has to do more. And so you can see how this is what happens. We slowly get more and more taste, and we dive deeper and deeper and deeper into the science. Let's continue a little. There was one more point about the devotees being sick in India. Have any of you been to India? You've been to India. You've been to India? Did you get sick in India? How was that? You want to tell us a little bit about the experience? Maybe we can get a mic. Just time to it. We only have 2 minutes.
You're asking about the experience of being sick in India?
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Obviously, Gaga would
I was surrounded by devotees, and they were all chanting and looking after me, and it was wonderful.
Okay. What happened? Did you have malaria or?
No, I didn't eat or drink anything for a while, and then I fainted, and quite serious. I got really sick after that.
Yeah.
I couldn't leave my room I was staying in for a few days.
Yeah.
But when I fainted, when I woke up, there were all these devotees around me chanting, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, and I thought this is a perfect time to leave my body, but I didn't. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so India is a steer. You can sometimes, it's a sacrifice. It's very nectar, but you sometimes have to sacrifice a bit. You have to be careful. What did you want to share your experience in India? Did you get sick? Did you get sick in India? Oh. Oh. Shri Shri Radharana ki, Shri Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Gaura